Es klappert die Mühle am rauschenden Bach. Klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp. Bei Tag und bei Nacht ist der Müller stets wach. Klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp. Er mahlet das Korn zu dem kräftigen Brot. Und haben wir dieses, dann hat's keine Not. Klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp. Klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp, klipp, klapp. Hallo liebe Niesnutzer. Herzlich willkommen zum zweiten Video hier auf dem YouTube-Kanal oder zum 55. Beitrag auf dem Blog Niesberg gegenüber. Dem Blog, in dem ich über meine Erlebnisse auf der anderen Seite der Welt berichte. Gegenüber halt. Klar zur Energiewende. Es klappert die Mühle, heißt das heutige Video. Ihr habt es wahrscheinlich schon erraten. Es geht um erneuerbare Energien und heute ganz besonders um Wasserkraftwerke. Seit ungefähr 2 Wochen bin ich nämlich hier in Neuseeland zu Gast auf einer Farm, die keinen Anschluss ans öffentliche Stromnetz hat. Der komplette Strom wird selbst produziert. Zu der Farm gehören beispielsweise die beiden Windturbinen, die man hier im Hintergrund erkennen kann. Schon auf den ersten Blick sieht man so, hier wird Strom aus erneuerbaren Energien erzeugt. Außerdem stehen für die Stromerzeugung Solarzellen mit einer Gesamtleistung von 6,5 Kilowatt zur Verfügung. Zum Beispiel diese hier im Hintergrund, die dem Sonnenverlauf über den Tag hinweg automatisch folgt, wenn die Sonne denn gerade da ist. Um einen ganz wichtigen Teil der hiesigen Stromversorgung handelt es sich ebenfalls bei den Wasserturbinen, die man hier im Hintergrund sieht. Und diese sind nicht nur selbst installiert, sondern auch selbst produziert. Yes, and now with me is Mr. Michael Lawley, the man who created all this around me. And I have a few questions to you. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Michael, you live on this property and you create your own electricity. You produce your own electricity from renewable energy only.
Yes.
Since when has it been like that?
It's been about 19, 20 years now.
That's pretty remarkable considering that 19 years, 20 years, that's quite a long time. Now, I have lived with you for 2 weeks here.
Yes.
And I'm your witness. During those 2 weeks, your house and whatsoever didn't lack any comfort. But how has it been during the last 20 years? Did you have to make sacrifices?
Certainly in the early years we only had one wind turbine. I think you may be able to see one in the picture. And we were careful. We had young children then and we didn't use lots of electricity. Since our demand for electricity has grown, we've put in hydroelectric, we've put in lots of photovoltaic panels. So really, as our need for electricity has increased, we've just expanded the system. So we've never had a power cut in 20 years, and we've never paid a power bill in 20 years.
So I understand for you it hasn't been a sacrifice,
No.
but now you are a graduated engineer and you know what you are doing.
Yes.
Maybe that's the reason why your system runs so well. Does that in the same time mean that I have to be a specialist to run a system like that?
I think you have to be realistic and you need to be aware of your system. If you run out of electricity, you can't just suddenly get more unless you want to burn fossil fuels, and we don't do that. So you have to be aware, and at times you might have to be careful. But those times are usually limited, in our experience, to maybe 3 or 4 days a year. So it's not much of a sacrifice, but the awareness is important. You need to be aware how much power is available. When there's plenty, party. When there's not plenty, be careful. It's a bit like your bank balance. Everybody can relate to that. There's times when you can spend lots of money and there's times you need to be careful. And when it comes to renewable energy, it's very, very similar.
So you say it is useful to understand some details of the system, or at least some basics. So let's have a deeper look into that. you use wind, hydro and solar power at your property.
Yes.
Can you give us an idea how big the percentage of each of them is?
Wind would be the smallest, at about 5 or 10% of our total power. Solar PV would be the largest, at around about 60%, maybe 60 to 70 even at times. And hydro would be in that sort of 20 to 30% band.
So your wind energy seems to be pretty small. Does that in the same time mean that you don't actually need it in your system?
Well, wind is small for two reasons. One, we've not invested much in wind because it was clear that it didn't work particularly well. The problem with small wind turbines is where most people live, it's actually not that windy. The second factor is solar PV is cheaper than small wind, more reliable, and gives more consistent power.
How about the water?
Yes.
Why don't you just simply upgrade your PV system and then don't use any water?
Yep, and that's certainly an option for people, as you could put in a very large PV array. But we've got about a 6 kilowatt PV array, and if we didn't have hydro, to get through the winter without a generator, we'd probably have to go to about 20 kilowatts. And that's a lot of PV, and it needs a lot of space, and we only need it for 3 or 4 months of the year, that extra size.
Okay, so it is actually possible with only PV, but if you have a stream, I understand that the water and the sun also make kind of a very good combination.
They're very good combination because they're opposites. In Europe and Australasia and many parts of the world that are further away from the equator, the hydro PV can work really well. We traditionally have relatively sunny summers and wet winters, whereas nearer the equator that's not the case.
And that's good for you that it is the case here, because hydro is kind of your business.
Yes.
When you started producing your own energy, you also started your own company. Do you want to show us a bit of your company?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Okay, now we are in the workshop of your company.
Yes.
And actually today you produce hydro turbines and sell them worldwide.
Yes.
But how did it in the first place come to that you start your own business? Why didn't you just buy the turbines on the market?
Well, we did try and buy a hydro turbine, but it was very expensive and didn't produce much power, so it wasn't particularly well suited to our site. And so I thought, oh well, we'll make something, and we did. We actually made a water wheel. But then we realised that we wanted to make a product we could fit in a box. And we needed a product that was lightweight, and we stumbled across these motors which we use as generators.
Can you show one for the,
yeah, certainly.
For the camera maybe?
So this is a smart drive washing machine motor, and this product has become quite a global brand. Now these are extremely efficient as well, well over 80% efficiency, which for a very small direct drive motor is very good.
My lovely generators and my babies.
Because they're mass produced, there's 2 production lines, one in Thailand and one in Ohio in the US. Each line makes one about every 30 to 45 seconds. So
that's the reason why you have so many here, eh?
Well, we only have a fraction, obviously.
Only.
But we.
What if I want to have another fraction of your fraction? If I want one of your hydro turbines, can I just give you a call and you send me one?
I'd rather you didn't give us a call unless you live in New Zealand. If you live, say, in Germany, if you look on our dealer map on our website, you'll see that there's dealers throughout Europe, and they can give you better advice than I can, because I'm good on the rules in New Zealand. You know, I'm not an expert on the rules in Europe or the rules in America. I know the basic understanding of them, but you really do need to talk to somebody who knows the local situation. If that dealer has a problem, he'll ask me a question and I'll answer it, and he'll then come back to you.
That sounds like the communication is still an important part of the whole business. Can you give us an idea how much of your work is communication actually?
I would say that at least 50%, maybe even more, maybe 70%. We're not really selling hydro turbines, we're selling energy solutions. So I do that most of the time.
Okay, so communication seems to be important. I think we stop our communication for now, and I say thank you, Michael, for your time. Thank you for the interview, and all the best for your company.
Thank you very much. Power to the people!
Fazit ist, die Lollis haben die Energiewende geschafft. Und das schon vor 20 Jahren. Denkt mal zurück an, was ihr vor 20 Jahren gedacht habt. Vermutlich noch nicht an erneuerbare Energien, oder? Das finde ich ganz beachtlich. Zweitens, die Kombination aus Sonne und Wasser funktioniert hier in diesem Klima ganz hervorragend. Drittens, Michael Lolly hat aus seiner persönlichen Energiewende ein ganzes Geschäft aufgebaut, ein ganzes Geschäftsfeld entscheidend geprägt und ist heute Besitzer einer international agierenden Firma. Und viertens, ein großer Teil einer solchen Energiewende liegt immer auch in der Bereitschaft, sich mit den Systemen zu beschäftigen, sie ein bisschen zu verstehen, und selbst heute noch liegen mehr als 50% des Gesamtaufwandes von Michaels Firma in der Kommunikation. Und was heißt das jetzt übertragen auf uns, übertragen auf Deutschland? Ich würde sagen, erstens, es ist möglich. Wenn die das hier geschafft haben, schon vor 20 Jahren, dann sollte auch uns in Deutschland die Energiewende gelingen. Zweitens, selbst wenn Wasserkraft in Deutschland nie ein Hauptanteil der Energieerzeugung werden wird oder sein kann, dann sollten wir noch mal ganz genau überlegen, ob wir die vorhandene Wasserkraft auch optimal nutzen. Drittens, auch wir können es schaffen, aus unserer Energiewende ein Geschäftsmodell zu entwickeln. Und wenn wir das dann in Deutschland geschafft haben, dann werden wir die ganze Welt mit Ökostrom versorgen. Und viertens, auch wir in Deutschland müssen uns darüber klar sein, dass die Bereitschaft, diese Systeme zu verstehen oder sich damit zu beschäftigen, Änderungen in Kauf zu nehmen, ein ganz wichtiger Teil der Energiewende sein wird und dass immer auch die Kommunikation ein wichtiger Part bleiben wird. Für dich heißt das natürlich Klarmachen zur Energiewende. Wenn ich wieder da bin, geht's direkt los. Und bis dahin verabschiede ich mich erst einmal mit Heinz Erhardt, der gesagt hat, es ist gewiss viel Schönes dran am Element dem Nassen, weil man Wasser trinken kann. Man kann's aber auch lassen. Ich trinke jetzt lieber ein leckeres Bier und sage Prost auf die Energiewende.